Hello and welcome, my name is Shushurt, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a working perspective in Pixel Game Maker MV, or I should say sort of working perspective. I'm still working on it, and I would love to work with you guys, because I'm still a little bit stuck at sore points, but we'll get to that later. First of all, let me showcase a little bit how it looks like now. So you can go backwards or forwards in the z-axis by basically shrinking the houses, as you can see. But you can also change which is the vanishing point, or where the vanishing point is, by moving around, like this. As you can see, when I'm standing here, this house doesn't really move in this x direction. And if I stand here, this house will move a lot more. There you can see. So it is an actual working perspective with a couple of yes, a little bit of bugs, but that's okay. The pink houses are I've made them pink to showcase, hey, they are basically walls at the moment. So this can be, for example, if you're inside a big city, and these are the big walls at the end of it that will prevent you from going on. Alright, this is basically how it looks so far. But there are a couple of things that we need to work on still. First of all, let me show you guys how it looks a little bit wonky sometimes when you go very fast, or when you try to make them really big. But I'll just tell you how it works. Let me go to the scene. So basically this is how it goes. We have a couple of normal house objects. That's how I've called them. These are just the regular objects. It can be anything really. It's in the middle. Then you have two special walls on the edges. What make these walls now so special instead of these three houses? Well, basically how it goes is a normal house. A normal house will grow either smaller or bigger when you hold forward or backwards. So it will increase its size by 1 or minus 1 on the other side, and we'll just switch in between them the whole time with basically unconditionally. Well, while you're holding forward, it will go in between these two. And we have a whole side here that I will talk about, but this is the start, right? You want to make a perspective, just make it either bigger or smaller. So it will give a little bit of a perspective. Alright. The problem is, when you make something smaller again after making it bigger, there will be a couple of gaps in between the houses here. I can show you guys by not using these for a second. Just give it a little bit. There we go. Poof. Alright. As you can see, when they become smaller, they will actually grow. Yeah, there's a huge gap here. You can obviously see it. So this is where the walls come in. The walls basically push all of the houses towards each other. So that's why we have a left version, and a right version. And what they do is, I'll show you. When they go smaller, they don't only move. They don't only decrease in size. They will also move to the right or to the left, and that way they will push each other. They will push. All of the houses will push each other basically. So they will make a neat row, and that's what we saw in the beginning. The only problem right now is because you have two houses that are pushing all of the houses, they're basically fighting each other. So they keep moving left and right, left and right, left and right, because it's basically 50-50 which house is winning the push battle. So that's why you need in the middle, or anywhere really, at least one object that has the property of not being able to be pushed back by other objects. So, what happens is how we determine that. If you are standing basically in front of one of the houses, and I've done this by making it so that it will detect an attack basically, and with the collision detection, and I have made the player, I've given the player a small attack detection like that. You can also, if you want, make it a little bit smaller. You can even make it like 1 pixel, depending on how accurate you want it to be. But okay, I would even suggest making it 1 pixel, because, for example, if you have this big, you can still hit 2 houses at the same time, and then they will both change into a version that can't be pushed back, and they will clip into one another, because you only need one object that needs to be not pushed back. So once it's not pushed back, it will go into a version where it's not affected by gravity, and basically what it will do, it will generate a version of itself that has the not pushed back property. I've tried the change option, where it actually changes into the in the different object, but that didn't really work well, because it took a little bit too long for the object to change, and actually also take over all of the basically the size changes, for example. So what I mean is, if you have made it smaller, and then you change it into another one, it will spawn in with the humongous size it used to be, and then it will be like, oh hey, my parent object, or my previous version was smaller, so I'll make myself smaller. But it takes too long, and then all of the houses are already like pushed back and clipping into one another, and it didn't really work. So that's why I've made it like this, where it still changes into it basically generates an object of itself. All right. You can also do this with the walls, for example. If you don't want them to be actual like walls, like in a castle wall, for example, you want to go outside of them, stuff like that. There are multiple reasons why you also want to do it for these objects, but this is a very basic version where I haven't really put that, or well, I did put a lot of thought in it. I had a couple of other ideas of making this work. For example, here you have the fate points. These were for actual working vanishing points. So basically, what happened is one of the houses, or any object, would generate a different object that would then look where the fate point or vanishing point is in the thing, calculate its original corner, basically how big the corner is between the house and that object, and then if you would then move the vanishing point back and forth, or up and down, I would mean, then that corner would change, and then it would say, hey, I'm no longer the original corner, so I need to move to the left in order to make sure that my display direction is again the same. That sort of worked, but like I said, you only had like one vanishing point, and you couldn't move it, and the houses that were, for example, all the way over here would move. They would move, but they would move very slowly for a very long time till they're at their proper place, because you can't really make that very fast, because it has to be accurate. Otherwise, they will just move back and forth the whole time. All right, a little bit of a sidetrack. That is yeah, and I have so many things that I've tried. So that's why I want to make it a little bit smaller focused in this demo. Um, so yeah, these are the normal houses, and now imagine you want to have a gap in between the houses, for example, like a gate or whatever, right? What you need to do then is actually you need to play with the wall detection of that object. So I have, for example, here in my houses animation, which are way too many. Which are way too many at the moment. That's okay. We also have a version with a big wall. Poof poof. Here we go. A big wall like that. So let's put it in the scene. With a big wall on the left side. There you go. And I will also put on the option that we can actually see those walls. So debugging, show wall detection. There we go. Here you can see it. So again, and how this wall works. You know what? I'll talk about it later. So first of all, let's make them smaller. And here you can see one of the major problems so far with this whole thing. I didn't change anything else except for change out this object, right? But for some reason, even though I changed this object over here, the pushing of this object works like it doesn't work anymore for some reason. I don't know, maybe it has to do with the wall detection or something. Yeah, let's try that out again. Now, as you can see, it sort of like bugs back and forth. And that's one of the major problems so far, is that the pushing of objects can be a little bit wonky. But now, if you imagine it working, you can have an actual space that also works with the perspective if you just change the wall detection. Oh, and then I'll explain now how the walls work. Because normally, because basically what I did is just make them generate an object that has that does collide with me. So you can see the original object's wall over here, and the bigger one is the one that pushes me back and doesn't have any interaction with the other houses, because these houses are called the cast, and this one is called a wall actually. So that's basically how it works so far. And as you can see, it works, right? Yeah, you have like a working perspective, but it doesn't work, and that's why I really wanted to make this video, which is already way too long. And that's why I wanted to make this video, and I'll give you guys the files. I'll clean them up a little bit because there's still some items that you guys don't really need, and will maybe only confuse things more. So yeah, the biggest question is, how do we fix this pushing mechanism? Like right now, for example, it sort of works, but as you can see, this guy over here is still clipping in it a little bit. So yeah, that is basically where I am right now. Maybe you guys can help me, or maybe we can make something together. I'll of course answer questions as well, like in comments or in Discord, because I know myself, and not everything is going to be clear. For example, I don't really use a lot of notes, which doesn't help. But that's okay. That's okay, right? And of course, I also have like a lot of animations because I used a project that I'm working on for something different. So I'll delete these as well. So you don't even need to look at them since they're not necessary. But yeah, that's the basic. In summary, the basic principle is you have these houses in the middle that are pushed towards one another by the outer houses. You need one house to be an anchor, otherwise they will the outer houses, the outer walls, whatever you want to call them, they will push everything back and forth. So you need at least one anchor in the middle. You can change which one the anchor is, which gives you the opportunity to make an actual perspective with the walls moving. And and one last final thing. Um, uh, let's delete this guy for a second and go here because I know this one works a little bit better for some reason. Don't ask me. Like the only difference between this house and the other one was just the bigger wall. That's the only difference, right? So move you a little bit again. And as you can see, the only thing I transformed again was just this house, and still not working, even though we have the exact same setup as 60 minutes ago. Oh well, that so be it, I guess. Basically, right now you could theoretically move the entire city by making it bigger here, then smaller here again, bigger here, and smaller here again, and etc. etc. You can see we've moved the entire city, and for that I made a small teleporter object that basically detects the wall detection of one of the houses at the edge. Then it moves a little bit with the houses. Depend if you're, for example, growing, then it will move a little bit, and then after that movement is done, it will teleport all of the objects back by 100 spots or 100 dots, depending on how big you want it to be. Here you go, teleporter, very very simple. Just waits. Here you can see it will move all of the objects, the player and the cast and houses and everything. And it will also in here change their own x and y coordinate again, because it needs to go to the exact same spot. Like I said, it moves a little bit to the left in order to give you a little bit of a spring effect, I would say. So yeah, that's the final object. Let me take a look here. Oh yeah. And this these two are basically saying, hey, after I have teleported you all, please, the walls go back to spawn in, because the spawn in makes it so that the walls will move towards the middle again for just a second or two. You can also see it happen in the beginning, because right now, for example, the houses are a little bit further away, but when you spawn them in, they will move towards one another, just to make the row a little bit more neatly. Yeah, there you can see it would push them into each other. That's why you need to wait a couple of seconds before moving or doing stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what I have so far. I hope you guys can help me. This is a 20-minute video, but that's okay. I explained it all. I'm also quite happy that it showcased immediately the flaws that I don't know how to solve at all, because in the beginning it did work, and now suddenly, I removed one thingamajigger, it doesn't work anymore for some reason. and sometimes it will go very smoothly. Sometimes it will go back and forth a little bit. I don't know. So maybe you guys can help, and yeah, I'll hear from you guys, or maybe you guys will hear from me, whatever. But thank you all so much for watching. I do think we are onto something here, but it does need a little bit of it does need a little bit more. So maybe we'll see. All right. Thank you all, and bye bye. Whee!